Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Whole Experience podcast, where we talk about all things mind, body, and lifestyle that make up the holistic experience. I'm your host, Cassandra Perry, certified holistic nutritionist, herbalist, somatic therapist, and soon to be massage therapist. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Today we are talking about parts work or internal family systems, and we have my good friend Avishai here to talk about it. Avi is a therapist, the best hugger ever, amongst many other things. So, welcome, Avi. How are you today?
Thank you so much, Case. I am feeling incredibly blessed to be alive and very, very grateful to be here. So,
That's
um,
a
yeah, very excited to be talking about some parts work.
Absolutely. So, tell us a bit about yourself and what it is that you do.
I guess I'll just start off with my name's Avishai Shalom Afek,
Mm-hmm.
and I am a human being first, and a brother. I'm a friend. Um, I'm a therapist by career and by passion. I'm a musician. I'm an officiant and a reverend of the Universal Life Church. Um, I am a member of the Inayati Sufi order, as well as a proud member of the Orthodox Jewish community. And I'm a native Israeli-born Jew who grew up in Jerusalem and moved to the States in 2000. And so I'm a proud immigrant, son of immigrants. Um, I am by title a licensed mental health counselor. Um, I got my master's degree in mental health counseling back in 2021, and I've been working in the mental health field since about 2016. And um, yeah, 2015, I would say. And it is my passion. It's something that has always been a part of my life. And I was first introduced to IFS in Partsburg, I would say about like 6 or 7 years ago. And I got trained in it, not certified level 1 or whatever, but IFS informed therapist.
Mm-hmm.
And I love using it with my clients. I've seen it be transformative. And it's been transformative in my life and um, my healing.
Yeah, and I especially wanted to take you on to talk about this because just a few years ago when you were staying with me, we had this beautiful conversation about parts work because I was in a time in my life where I was kind of just discovering that path and the influence it had in my life. And you had had this kind of breakthrough experience with it as well. But
Mhm.
to begin, can you kind of describe to our listeners what parts work even is or what internal family systems means?
Sure. Um, so internal family systems or IFS is one of many different therapeutic approaches and counseling theories that use what we call multiplicity. Multiplicity is this idea that we are complex creatures, and within us, there's a lot of competing urges. And part of me wanted to eat a bowl of cereal this morning, and another part of me wanted to, cook up a nice, like, hearty breakfast with, like, veggies and eggs and protein, and another part of me was just like, "Meh, let's just eat this like sandwich from yesterday." So that's what I did.
The
And
complexities of human.
right. And so that's a very simple example that I think everyone can relate to. But um, I think it's something that when given conscious attention and intention, um, it can have a lot of magical and really transformative properties when we work with these different parts of us and identify them and get to know them. And Dick Schwartz or Richard Schwartz, who started Internal Family Systems, used to be a structural family therapist and was working with a lot of families and kind of noticed the similarities between this multiplicity and a family system.
Mhm.
Um, and that's really what he added to the research and the field because before him, even Freud and Jung were talking about, Jung especially, was talking about not just collective unconscious and other things of that nature, but the whole idea of an anima and animus, which are these archetypes of the sacred masculine and sacred feminine.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of spiritual people these days will use those phrases, but back in, late 1800s, early 1900s, Carl Jung and a lot of like very Christian people would use terms like anima and animus.
Hmm.
And that was its own form of multiplicity. And these, what later kind of neo-Jungian therapists termed ego states.
Ah.
And these ego state theories are what develop this model of like an inner child and an inner parent
Mhm.
and an inner
Teenager.
teenager and an inner wisdom like old lady who has a lot to share and
Mhm.
an inner like playful kid who just wants to run around and scream his head off. Um,
Yeah,
and
I understood that, when I was introduced to it as all these parts have played a portion within your life and they continue to show up because they protected you in some scenario or some phase of your life. And so they continue to show up when they're kind of triggered or they want to have that same protection um, over you. And that's for you to like learn and sort through and be able to heal them one by one, or just have them kind of like sit back down while you operate in a different part of yourself. Is that kind of what?
yeah, that very much resonates with how IFS operates. I think the one adjustment that I would make to what you said would be that it's not just parts that develop as protective mechanisms.
Mhm.
This is a natural thing that everybody experiences, whether you've gone through trauma or not,
Mhm.
whether you admit you have trauma or not,
Mhm.
whether you've had like all your needs met and support or not. We all have multiplicity, and we all can benefit from understanding it and having more integration and unburdening and unblending, as IFS would call some of these things. But um, I think there's a lot of different words that people use, and whether it's finding nirvana or moksha or what have you, like it's I think very much the same
The human
spiritual
experience.
practice that humans have been on for thousands of years.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
And there's plenty of evidence for that. There's a wonderful podcast of Dick Schwartz talking to a who grew up a Reform Jew, but was never really connected to Judaism, talking to an like Hasidic ultra-Orthodox rabbi about the origins in Judaism about multiplicity and how God um, and rabbis, especially mystical rabbis, spoke a lot about these different parts within us and
Interesting.
how has been written for hundreds, if not thousands of years.
Yeah, so it's not just a modern therapy tool. It's part of the human experience.
It's like
Yeah.
mindfulness, it's mindfulness didn't just arrive in the like
Right.
60s. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But we're coming back to it at least. So that's
Yeah, exactly. And we're getting to know it in a deeper way and we're integrating it into a modern time, which
Mhm.
is desperately needed.
So when you're kind of working with clients and helping them discover their parts and get to know their parts, I mean, I know for me it was kind of a huge thing in my life to be able to connect to myself at a deeper level, and get to know all of my parts and like I said before, be able to kind of heal my different parts, and be able to talk to them and hold the hand of that internal little girl or whoever that was afraid or angry or sad or all these different emotions that are held by these different parts. Um, so when you're working with clients and their parts, what is kind of the goal or what do you see happen in transition?
Hmm. I like this second question because generally the goal is based off of what the client needs
Hmm.
and what they're looking for at that time.
Hmm.
I'm a very patient-centered trained therapist, and I don't believe it's my job to push people further than they want to go.
Hmm.
And
Absolutely.
I do not believe in enabling people or making people dependent on therapy. And it's a fine line sometimes to walk. So, um, I think the goal is always how can I use parts work to support my clients' goals?
Hmm.
And your second question was more so about like what do I see happens when we start using it? And I think that's it's a really, really fascinating question. Um, don't think I've had one parts work session that was the same.
Yeah.
Every single one is different,
Every.
even when we're working with the same parts,
Hmm.
same client. It's a whole different session. And primarily, I mean, I would say I use parts work at different times of treatment for different things.
Hmm.
Um, whether it's trauma therapy or whether it's more counseling,
Hmm.
which is kind of tr like symptom management. And we kind of make a distinction sometimes in the research between psychotherapy and counseling.
Hmm.
Um, so I see different things happen, and primarily I tend to use parts work with my clients who are either doing trauma therapy or have a significant trauma history.
Hmm.
Um, Even if they're not necessarily doing trauma work, it's really helpful for them to better understand this splintering of our personality that seems to happen.
I like that word.
Um, yeah, it's really how it feels sometimes,
Yeah.
and it fucking hurts sometimes. Apologies if
No, I
the
love
swearing, but
it.
that's just how I talk. Um, I got scolded a couple weeks ago by some guy as I was checking into a doctor's office, and I was just like, what are these fucking insurance companies doing? Like, blah, 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 blah. And it kept using the F bombs. And guy's like, there's kids in this waiting room. I'm like, well, we're gonna have to fucking hear some swear words in this fucking world, okay? Um,
Oh, but
yeah. So, there's some different parts of me, some that very much have a sailor's
swears.
mouth.
Yeah.
Um, but I think primarily the point, if there's a point to it, when I'm using parts work with my clients, it's to improve and increase self-understanding,
Hmm.
self-awareness,
Hmm.
self-monitoring, which
Hmm.
all sound like the same thing, but are three quite distinct different things.
Yeah.
And and then, once we have some understanding, that naturally I find leads to self-compassion and
Yeah.
grace.
Yeah. That's the big one.
And yeah, that is the big one. It really is. But I work with a lot of clients who are very unfamiliar with self-compassion. And that can be a really scary word for some people. And I kind of say we don't have to run a marathon before we can, run a 5K or even 1 mile. Like we're gonna start with baby steps. And first comes just like understanding and awareness.
Hmm.
And like from that we'll get to compassion eventually.
And I think most people struggle with having self-compassion.
Hmm.
I mean, in this
Mhm.
society, in this
It's not
age.
modeled.
Yeah.
Mr. Rogers is like gem amongst, many coals. Like Bob Ross is like, an exception to the rule, not like someone that we see every day. We haven't had a Mr. Rogers in the last 30 years. Like,
Bring them back.
bring it back. We need more Mr. Rogers in this world. We need healthy role models, especially healthy male role models in
Yeah.
this world, but also healthy female role models and healthy all gender role models. Like, we need
Healthy
just
in general.
people who are doing the work to be out there and showing us what life can be like when we have self-compassion and grace.
Yeah. Yeah. So that being said, like, would you say that there is a recipe or a way that one can have that compassion for their parts and reach that self-acceptance and self-love and kind of continuously take care of themselves in a healthier way?
Interesting question. I I think there's a lot of different recipes, and what you have to learn to do is try out a few different recipes, and then also learn that cooking is an art and not a science, and that it's totally okay to like take parts from this recipe and use it, and then like use this part of that recipe and leave that behind. So
Yeah.
like whether it's IFS or whether it's like Gabor Mate's five levels of self-compassion, or whether it's cognitive behavioral therapy, or whether it's EMDR, or whether it's just meditation and yoga and Qigong, whether it's like taking care of your nutrition and gut, whether it's just like starting to make new friends. Like, I think all of these things can be recipes of having more compassion with yourself and your parts.
It's an integrated system. It's holistic in itself.
Yeah, and it's flexible. It's flexible
Yeah.
and it's adaptive. And
Hmm.
I think what happens when you have a flexible system is you don't need to be rigid in what recipe you use.
Hmm.
And you can be eclectic, you can be holistic and integrative, or you don't have to be. I
Yeah.
have clients who I strictly use cognitive behavioral therapy and dialectical behavioral therapy. And those are the only two. I mean, I use motivational interviewing all the time. It's like my foundation. But um I don't use IFS like at all. And it works. It works so good for them.
Hmm.
And like that's what they're looking for, and they're not interested in digging deeper. And who am I to like tell them how to live their life?
Yeah. Well, I love that you said flexible. That honestly came up in a previous episode with Kate Hertwick about somatic
Hmm.
therapy and the flexibility of yourself in your process and the expansion of what that looks like and what what integrative process you take, whatever it is, that flexibility of like being able to self-accept and take care of yourself and be there for yourself in the hard moments of it, like just having the flexibility to just kind of flow, be in flow, work with it.
Yeah.
um is there anything you're willing to share about how it has affected your life working with parts work? um
Yeah, I
we
think so.
come
I've
to.
been open about some of this stuff with like previous ventures that I've done, so I don't mind. And I think there's like some podcast I did 8 years ago with the Psychedelic Society of Western New York, where I talked a bit about this too. But I'm um I'm a grandson of a Holocaust survivor, two Holocaust survivors, my mom's side. And my mom, my dad, pretty much every single one of my siblings has been conscripted into the army, drafted. And a lot of them have seen combat and experienced PTSD. And just grew up with a family that was really, really struggling with their mental health.
Mhm.
I'm not going to go into more detail, but there's some families that just struggle way more than others.
Yeah.
And just life dealt them a bad card. And my family certainly drew a few bad cards. Um, and when I moved to the States, I'll actually share this story. It's one that I've only recently started being able to speak about more, but I'm a firm believer in that the more we tell a story, the less power it has over us.
Love that.
And so when I was like 6 or 7 years old, I was in second grade. Fucking laugh about it now, but it was like one of the most devastating moments of my life. I was like, I was in school on the playground, still like barely knew English, trying to make friends. And some kid asked, do you know what time it is? And I look at my watch and I say, it's 2:30. And he goes, okay, thanks. And this fucking asshole, I don't even know if he was in my grade, but some kids are just such fucking assholes. You have no idea the impact that they have.
Mm.
Goes over and he says, um, actually, it's 2:32. In this country, we say the exact time.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, okay.
I wonder what that person is like as an adult.
Oh my God. I just wonder what it's like to be in their head. Like if they were that critical
Then,
and that mean
yeah,
at that age, like I don't want to know what their home life was like, you know?
yeah,
Um, I'm a big believer in what happened to you, not what's wrong with you.
yeah,
But yeah, that moment really affected me, and I think it was like the first time I experienced depression. And all sorts of things happen over the next few years, and at 12 years old, I tried killing myself. Um, and and nobody knew. And eventually, a classmate or something like that in eighth grade told my school counselor, who eventually called me up and asked me, "Are you having suicidal thoughts?" And I just wouldn't answer her because I didn't want to go to the hospital, but I also didn't want to lie, and I desperately wanted the help. Um, and that's when I was first put on antidepressants and went to therapy. And I just saw wonderful therapists and terrible therapists throughout my high school years. And I realized that like I almost failed out of high school in 11th grade. I
mm,
was on some antidepressants. I was falling asleep in school. I was getting bullied all the time for being fat and depressed.
mm.
Um,
Kids are
and huh?
kids are mean.
Very mean. Very fucking mean. Um, and my family was just all fucked up in all sorts of ways. Um, that I'm not going to go into. But
Whatever your comfort level, bud.
yeah, all you need to know is that basically all of us have PTSD.
Sorry.
Uh, and you can say that about most of the country of Israel, to be honest. But yeah, so I I left high school saying I was going to go to college and do psychology because I almost failed in 11th grade, and this one like psychologist really, really helped me. She was the first one that um that really talked to me like an adult
Yeah,
because she realized how much fucking shit I'd seen in my life.
yeah. Kudos to
Um,
her wherever she is.
huh?
Kudos to her wherever she is.
Yeah, Elise Myers. Oh no, not Myers. Elise Myers is like a social media influencer. Oh no, Elise something. I emailed her once I graduated from my master's and told her I was becoming a therapist. And
Oh,
it's just like, yeah, really beautiful moment.
yeah.
Um, and I told myself I was going to become one of the good ones.
You
And,
start.
and I really believe that I have. And and my clients tell me that I have. And I think IFS was first introduced to me through psychedelic conferences. I got off antidepressants at 17, 18, and I basically credit LSD to saving my life
Wow.
multiple times in my life. It's a hell of a medicine. And and I wanted to learn more about psychedelic medicine and started learning more about IFS because I saw that people were using it in psychedelic therapy.
Mm,
And I didn't really know much, but I was starting to do a little bit of IFS with my therapist at the time because EMDR wasn't working for me. I was getting too dissociated, and I would just have like, I would get very defensive and nasty with
mm.
my therapist and then be like, I don't know why I just did that. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I do know why. Sorry. Um, but maybe like let's not do this again because it's not working. So we tried IFS and that seemed to be a really good window into,
The next step for you.
yeah, exactly. And and then when I got trained in ketamine assisted therapy and mushrooms and MDMA therapy, um, that was through IPI and in Boulder, which was like just a couple miles from your house. And I ended up coming in 2021, I think December, maybe 22. Um, and yeah, I had a really transformative trip that helped me feel like my, at least at the time, I thought it was all of my parts. It was pretty clear that it was not all my parts. The self-critic is a sly fucking devil. Um, but it was the first time that I felt like most of my parts were getting to work together around the same table and working together, and were appreciating each other and not yelling at each other. It was also the first time that I made contact with an exile in such a way and helped him feel more trust and unburden with the whole system. And that was just such a transformative thing to experience. And then to also know that I could help facilitate that for others.
Absolutely. That whole journey is so powerful. I'm on the verge of like crying.
You can cry, it's your podcast.
My friend.
I'm a therapist. Like
Yeah, I know.
whenever people
I'm
tell
an
me like I don't
empath.
want to cry, I'm like if you can't cry in a therapist office, where the hell can you cry?
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing all of that. It is so powerful and deep and transformative. And I'm really happy you shared the piece about that last piece of when you were visiting me and when you were able to.
You listen to the whole fucking cinematic universe that I created. Like that was incredible. I swear to God, I could make a whole fucking movie out of it.
Oh, you absolutely could. And I just remember that, I don't remember every detail of what you shared, but I remember the base of like the journey you went through and being able to put all your parts at the same table and have them cooperate and taking the exiled part and making him feel loved and appreciated. And that to me, I was in the middle of learning my parts. I was
Yeah,
reading No Bad Parts, a very good book,
great
which
book.
like I will probably read multiple times in my life.
Yeah, likewise.
And to hear your experience and your story was so transformative to me because it showed me that I'm capable of doing that too. And I've just begun on this path of learning my parts and getting to know them and making them feel safe in my body and in my life. But to get to that level was like, all right, that's the goal now. Like
Right.
if
Oh,
I'm there,
believe me, those goalposts have shifted.
oh, it always does though, right?
There's always more work to be done, and we
Never like,
can't compare our work with others, you know, like everybody's on their own journey. And one of my favorite quotes from Ram Dass, um, Richard Alpert, Harvard psychiatrist, psychologist who just took a bunch of LSD and turned Buddhist monk. Well, not Buddhist, Hindu, but um, he said, when I go into a forest and I see the trees and I see this one is bent and this one is crooked and this one is growing this way and this one has some dead leaves and branches. I don't look and say, what's wrong with this tree? Why does this tree grow this way? I don't judge the tree for being what it is. I just know that it got maybe some sunlight and some rain a little differently than this tree. It got maybe some different nutrients from the soil and mycelium than that tree over there. And as soon as I walked back into the city, I look at other humans and the judging mind starts.
Yeah,
So what I do is I turn it into a practice to turn humans into trees.
I love that. Woof! That needs to be a poster across the whole world right now. Jesus. I won't even get into it, but yeah, that is a
Oh,
very
you won't.
important place.
No, you won't. Yeah, it's one of my favorite quotes, and I usually share it with clients who compare themselves a lot with others, and I love it. Like clients have told me like 6 months, a year later, I was thinking about that trees quote.
Yeah, yeah. I love that because my therapist also taught me a different like tree visual, but essentially like a tree, regardless if the wind is blowing the branches and the leaves around, just like life kind of blows you around, you're still rooted in the ground.
Yeah, I heard from the Sufi tradition, there's the idea of becoming a bamboo reed,
Mm.
and that your roots keep you firmly planted, but you're still flexible enough to flow with the wind.
Yeah, yeah, that's good too. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
All the trees, just be
Yeah.
a tree. When in doubt, be a tree.
Right, exactly. There's actually a great song by Sojourner Garden. There's I don't know if you know FKJ. Is like my favorite producer. Is his wife.
Yes.
Um, she's incredible. And she has a song called Come Home LaShawn. And she has a quote in there where she's just like talking to her friend. And she's like, me, I I aspire to be a fruit tree because a fruit tree, it doesn't care who picks its fruit or who sits under its shade. It doesn't matter if you're black or white or red or yellow. It just gives. It gives and gives. And even when you try to cut it down, it doesn't stop giving. It doesn't stop giving oxygen
Mm.
and bearing fruit. And that's what I want to aspire to be. To be is close in this lifetime to be like a fruit tree.
Imagine what the world would be like if we could all just be fruit trees.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
that's the world I want to be in.
Hmm. Amen, sister. Amen to that.
Goodness. Well, we've
Yeah,
just
the goosebumps. My goodness.
yeah, so much, so much juice in
Mhm.
that juicy fruit tree.
Not juicy fruit, but a juicy fruit.
So, to kind of wrap up our conversation about parts work, what is, I mean, I think you've shared a lot of great takeaways here, but what is one thing that you would like the listeners to take away from this session and this conversation?
I think the main takeaway is this idea that most people feel like the only way out of their shit, their criticism, their depressions, their anxieties, their trauma, is by relying on the same malicious motivators that they learned growing up.
Mm.
Shame, blame, guilt, hustle, pulling yourself up by the bootstraps, isolating, trying to do it yourself.
Yeah.
And I think while it's really important to learn how to challenge your irrational thoughts,
Mhm.
It's just one side of the coin, and we can't get through it without the other side of the coin, which is acceptance.
Mm.
We got to challenge, but we also have to accept.
Yeah.
And too many of us believe I can't accept myself until I've changed into a better version of myself.
Yes.
And the direction is actually flipped.
Hmm.
You won't be able to change until you accept where you are.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
And if parts work can help you accept where you are and realize that your self-critic isn't going to be the only one that's going to succeed in helping you get through this world, then use it, explore it, like find a good therapist. Like, don't give up after one or two tries with someone. Um, find someone who will really listen and you really trust and focus on what we call working alliance. It's not just about liking your therapist, as much as that's great. I've had therapists that I really, really liked, but I stayed for a year or longer and felt like I barely made any progress.
Mm.
And a working alliance is made up of two things. One, are you working on the same goals? And two, do you trust them? And if you feel like you're working on the same goals and you trust them, or you're working on trusting them and they're helping you trust them more, then you got a good one. And if you're not sure, tell them. Tell them you're not sure. I'm not sure if I can trust you. I'm having doubts. I don't know if this is working. And how they respond will be transformative
Mm.
because either they will be able to hold that for you and you will be able to finally be assertive with someone, maybe for the first time in your life, and tell them how you really feel about your relationship. And they can hold it for you and really heal something. And it's a transformative moment in therapy when my clients do this. And I always wait for this to happen, especially with certain types of clients, because I know it's coming eventually.
Mhm.
And when it does, it's like yeah, let's talk about this.
Mhm.
And like let's make sure that you are getting what you need out of this.
Mhm.
And this is not a waste of time.
Mhm.
Or they're going to fumble and they're not going to be able to hold what you need. And listen to that and believe that there is someone out there for you that can hold it with you, as hard as that may be to believe.
Mhm.
I know it took me a very long time to believe that, but
Yeah, and I love that message because that's essentially why I'm making this podcast is to encourage people to try everything if you have to
literally
find what works.
in the last year case, I've tried so many new things. I tried getting a facial for the first time. I went to a rage room for the first time. I got acupuncture and massage, and I had two different therapists, and I tried several different medications. I tried ketamine assisted therapy for like a real time through Spravato, and it really is just like a you got to try everything, but
Mhm.
like don't try the things that your self-sabotaging, self-destructive parts are telling you to try though,
Mhm.
because that, everything is a big word.
Yeah. Yes. Every healthy thing that you can find, we'll put it that way.
Good reframe.
Yeah. But knowing that it might not be just one thing, but it might be a few things, a cocktail of things that work.
Most likely it will be
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
one recipe is not enough for to feed you for the whole week.
And that continues to change as you change as well.
Yep.
That's kind of how I've come to my current state of where I am is with my physical health, with my mental health, my spiritual, emotional health, learning that I have to do multiple things at once. And so I had to try everything that I found to find that cocktail to be the best version of myself now. And that's going
Yeah,
to change again. And I'll try more things.
that's right. And it's ever changing. But I love doing podcasts like this. It's been so wonderful talking with you. And I'm a big believer that there's a lot of space for therapy curious people. You don't necessarily need to be in therapy if you don't feel ready. I
Mhm.
know I have um an Instagram page and kind of like my own side business that I'm still working on getting back on track that just like does seminars and just like kind of like lectures and podcasts like this sometimes too to just like help people learn. We see psychoeducation as being one of the biggest predictors of success.
Mhm.
And so education is power. And especially for our generation who like was never taught this shit. And our parents certainly were never taught this shit. And so we kind of have to.
Yeah.
And so, you know, whatever you can do and however many things you need to try, just keep going.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing so much insight. You are one of my absolute favorite people to talk to in so many ways and levels. It just makes my heart so happy. And I really appreciate your time and energy and effort in helping me spread the word through this podcast.
It's my pleasure, Case.
So I know that you are currently practicing in New York. Are you taking new clients? Is there a way that we can follow you?
I have a wait list. It's opening probably mid-July, maybe late July. Um, and it will be telehealth only. Um, but yeah, people can find me on Psychology Today. My name's Avi Afek on there, Aviafek. And if you want to find me on Instagram, my name's Mango Missionary, and my company's name is Mango Mind. Um, gonna be doing a couple new things out there. I want to try to develop by the end of the year a course on how to fuck up your life. So if you like want to learn how to completely fuck up your life, you can like learn how to do that so you don't actually have to do that. Um, and it's kind of like a like learn from what I did and like don't repeat the same
I'm
mistakes.
very intrigued and I love that angle.
Yeah. I got it from Mark Norman who got popular a couple years ago for like the subtle art of not giving a fuck. And he wrote a couple other books like that. He's got some pretty good like head on his shoulders and some modern philosophy like constructs that I really like. But he came out with a video in the early like part of this year, but sharing a lot about his addiction and about how even after his first book that was super successful, he was like just miserable and just really fucked up his life. And I think there's a lot to learn from people like that and a lot to gain from sharing these stories. And it's also going to be a practice for me to have some of these stories have less control over me.
I mean, one of the best ways to learn and the hardest ways to learn is through experience.
That's right. That's right.
Well, I'm so
Yeah.
excited to see that myself. I hope that everybody else takes a look once that comes out. Is there a date we can expect it?
No, not yet.
Coming soon.
Yeah, exactly. To a theater near you.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so
It's
much.
such a pleasure.
Yeah.